All right, so it's time for the next sessions. I hope everyone already have a good time in Droidcon Turin. Um, Thanks for coming to these sessions. I'm very excited to be here because this is my first time here. So let me try by greeting. Wait, let me just check. I'm slightly nervous, so let me see if I get it right. Buon pomeriggio, or something like that. Wait. Buon pomeriggio? Yeah. Thank you. So today, I'm very excited to be here because two things. I've been trying to come here for many years. I've been talking to Francisco and stuff. Definitely thank you to Google, Alfredo, for the sponsors and stuff like that. Really thank you putting the effort in getting me here. Today I'm here to just share some experience while I'm building Fabulous. I will talk about a little bit of Fabulous, what is Fabulous. And we got Material Design Award last year, thanks to Google Design Team. So let's just get started, don't waste time. So my name is Taylor Ling. I'm coming from Malaysia. How many of you kind of know where is Malaysia? Oh, wow, thank you. I'm surprised. But yeah, I'm coming from Malaysia, and it's 14 hours of flight at least. Coming to here, so it's far away, but I'm very excited to be here with you guys, and girls, of course. So let's talk about what is Fabulous. When we talk about Fabulous, I always love to share this quote to the audience. So this is a real quote or a real message that sent to us by Fabulous users. So it kept me alive through colon cancer. I truly love you. So it's a very powerful message for us, but it also makes us keep motivated to keep going with Fabulous because we know the things that we do have so much impact in people's users' life, and they find it very useful for them. So what is Fabulous? Fabulous is a habit-forming companion that we use scientific approach. We use proven scientific approach and also self-coaching. So in Fabulous, self-coaching is very important because we wanted the user to coach themselves instead of having someone to keep nagging them or keep telling them what to do. So self-coaching becomes a very important element in Fabulous to get the users to actually monitor themselves and get back their life. So we use scientific approach to ensure that you make healthy lifestyle or healthy life habits into your life, and then make it a routine so that you have a better life. And working with researchers at Duke University, we found a way to focus on just 3 simple, powerful bottlenecks that can help to change the behavioral problem. First, of course, is the motivation. We want to ensure that the users is gently nudged to do certain things, to do certain habits, for example, and give them enough motivation, give them enough reasons to do these habits. And reminder, of course, you want them to be prompt or remind to do certain things. I mean, getting motivated is not enough, actually. So you must find a way to actually prompt the users to do certain things at the right moment, in the right time, and also at the right reward. So the user want to do something, but they also need to know what's in it for them. And stickiness. So if you want to form a habit, of course, you don't want to just do it 1 or 2 times. You want to try to do it as consistent as many times as possible so that it will stick into your routine, and then it becomes a normal routine in your life. So stickiness is also one of the very important pillars in habit forming. So why I'm sharing today is because there's a few things. We managed to achieve a few things with no funding at all. We are bootstrapped 3 years ago until now. We are still bootstrapped. We are still self-sustaining. So there are a few things that we managed to achieve in Google Play stores. We are top developers. We are part of the Editor's Choice. Last year, we were nominated for Google Play Awards. And also, thanks to Google Design, last year we've been given to with the Material Design Award. So a few stats, just a simple stats to show what we have managed to achieve with this small team. So we have a total downloads of 3 million downloads, 100,000 daily active users, and 8,000 daily new users. So I think I would say I'm pretty proud of what we can achieve with no external funding at all. And I think that's the spirit of startups. Like you can definitely do it without any funding. Like try to go as far as you can before you actually want to approach funding. That's very important. So a few things, actually I think it's about 12 or 13. I will just try to go through as quickly as possible. But I think these are a few lessons or a few things that I think is worth sharing while we are building Fabulous. So first question, of course, maybe you have no idea with Fabulous, but in Fabulous, we actually started with just Android. So the first question that we always have, of course, when we decided to build Fabulous, we think like which mobile platform that we should build for our MVP, for our first version. And of course, coming to the mind, of course, you will have Android, iOS, or maybe Windows, I don't know, or BlackBerry. But we decided to go for Android for a couple of reasons. So of course, Android wins. Few things that we think is very important in Android because it has a very huge market share. I think everyone here sitting here definitely a supporter of Android or at least favor in Android platform. But there's a few reasons why we actually really go for Android first. It's the huge market share. We wanted to make sure Fabulous goes into everyone's hand, regardless of expensive devices or cheap devices. We just want to reach to as many hands as possible. So Android enables us to do that. So last year, I think they have the statistics. It's 88% of the international market. It's running Android. So that's a huge market share worldwide, and that's the huge range of diversity that you can reach to. And of course, 3 years ago, there is no material design, but we actually feel really lucky to actually go for Android, and then material design come out. So definitely in Android, we have great design language. I would say it's actually one of the most extensive design guidelines that out there for a platform. So you have huge support from Googlers, like the support libraries. You have huge support from Google design team to ensure your app designed in a consistent way and also delightful way for the users. Developer friendly, definitely. I mean, some of the things that we can only access in Android is really a precious for us in Fabulous. Things like Alarm API, the drawing over other apps, something like chat hats in Facebook Messengers. Those are things that we use a lot or extensively in Fabulous to ensure that we can successfully prompt the user to do something and reach notification as well. And it's cheap to enter. It's like $25 if it's still not changed. So it's definitely no-brainer to just go for Android. And of course, like a lot of people will say, hey, you want to make an app and you want to make it success, of course you need revenue, right? And always been people saying that money comes from the iOS users. But I can tell you it's wrong. It's definitely a wrong perception that actually in Android, the revenue potential is huge. We did our monetization only end of last year, and I can tell you people are paying for things that they really want to use and they really love. So the revenue potential is huge. So don't doubt about it at all. If you want to go for just Android for the first version, just do it. So I would say the takeaway is do consider Android as your first platform if your resources is scarce or you just have this amount of time to prove that your product is working. Pick Android. And definitely tomorrow come to the keynote because Lisa will going to tell you why Android is the best platform that you can develop for. Then of course, we decided, okay, let's do Android. But how much time then we need to build a perfect Fabulous? I mean, no one knows, right? But we found out that it's a hell of a lot of time. Like, it's definitely not going to make it if we decided to go to build every single things that we have in mind for perfect fabulous. So I believe a lot of time when we come up with product or things that you want to do for 1.0, you come up with a feature list. Like, you have tons of things that you want to go in. Some are nice to have, some are must have, and you have tons of things to go in. And a lot of time you will find that the development time are going to be like things like 2 years or 3 years. It's normal. But luckily, we also look at how people build MVP, and of course, we come across these drawings from Spotify. So this is how they actually look at MVP and start building from the start to the end, how they slowly build up or develop the product from the start. So we decided to go this way. We pick out things that is really important that can provide the core experience of Fabulous. We didn't do anything that is not necessary. And then we pick it out together, and we found out that after we filtered the list, we probably managed to get this done by 6 months. And 6 months is still not short, but at least something that we managed, it's manageable for us, and also for us to validate whether the app works or not. And we also look at the MVP in this way. So maybe some people will call it minimum viable product, but for us, we don't definitely say the earliest lovable product or something like that, or earliest usable product. So besides functionality, of course, you definitely want to make sure your MVP, the first version that you use to validate or get user feedback, must have certain level of reliability, usability, of course, and of course have certain emotional design in it. So you want to make sure the users feel like the app is designed properly for them, and not just a prototype or not just a really bad product that they don't even want to use. So looking at Fabulous, the first version that we have on the left side is our MVP. So we only have a few core features that we want to go into the app. We don't even have time to optimize UI smoothness and stuff like that, but we have everything in it. We try the market, we try with the users, we get user feedback, and then once we know that these things work, so then we spend a lot of time, actually 9 months for a redesign to material. Then after that, things just pick up from there. So I would say the takeaway here, I really, really believe that if you are going to build your first MVP, try to filter your list, get a minimal set of features that can really solve the user's problem and also provide the core experience. So that's a very important one, because I've seen projects that running for 1 year, 2 years, and when it goes public, everything's failed because no one actually wanted to use the product, or they just have their concept wrong or the user's base wrong. So just not worth it to spend so much time on a product that no one actually want to use. Then, of course, as a designer, I'm actually the design co-founder of Fabulous. Then, obviously, I would think about like how can I design an app, and how hard can it be to design a great app? I mean, it's going to take time, of course, but how hard can it be? But it turns out to be really, really hard, because designing is not just about visual. A lot of time, especially people is not doing design, especially, they will think that, design is just coming out with a few UI, just a few interaction mockups, and that's it. But the fact is, design is not about art. It's about designing or providing a solution to a problem within a constraint. So the VP of design in Google, Matthias, he said that, if there's no constraint, it's art. So you can do whatever you want. But if there's constraint, it's design. And design means you provide solution to a problem. So you have constraint, you have problem, and then you provide a solution. But how do you know that your solution works? How do you know that you are doing something is right? Then, of course, in Fabulous, we go for data-driven design, where we have statistics coming out from analytics, for example. we see and we check whether things are working well for these new solutions to an existing problem. If it doesn't work, we revert to the previous version and we try to improve again. And also we get qualitative data from users' feedback as well, like user reviews, user feedback, to just ensure that the things that we are doing is going to the right direction. So all this data is very important for us to decide whether things that we do is correct or not. And of course, we do a lot of A/B testing. That's one way to get quantitative data. So I would like to show you one example that's really interesting. And also, I would say this is our first A/B testing in the app, and it's proven to be very fascinating, at least for us. So here you got two screens. So the left side is a screen where when you started the journey in Fabulous. And then you have to tap on the play button to start the journey. So initially, we have this first design. We have the translucent button there. We have no clue of no glowing effect or something like that to hint the user that it is tappable. So 70% of the user, when they reach to this screen, they tap on the play button. But the thing is that 30% of the users is not tapping on it. And it's strange because the only thing that you can do in this screen is that. It's that button only. So we try to figure out what's wrong with these 30% of the people. I mean, what's wrong with our UI, not these users. But what's wrong with the UI that the user is not doing that? So we were discussing, and then we think that probably the play button is not strong. There's no strong call to action. So we try to change in terms of visual. We try to change it to a solid color. We also add a glowing effect so that it attracts the user attention, and then the user will actually tap on it. And surprisingly, we got it fixed. So we have a 22% increase of the user actually when they reach this screen and then they tap on the button to proceed. But that's another question that we actually have no idea how to solve, is that the rest of the 8% of the people, we have no idea how to solve. But this experiment, A/B testing, proven that data-driven design works. You definitely want to get some data, use it right, and then figure out what's wrong, try the new solution, and see what's the improvement. We are trying hard to get back the 8% of the users, but for now we have no idea what else we can solve. Perhaps we can put a little bit more hints and stuff like that, but we are really happy with the results. So I think takeaway is, if you talk with the designer or talk about design, I would really say is that design is not just about visual, it's about providing solutions to a problem within a constraint. And that's very important because providing a solution is not easy. It's not straightforward. Sometimes you need a lot of time to figure out how things really works for the users. And also use data-driven design, because some people will say data-driven design might inhibit a little bit of innovation because your solution is going to be determined by the data. But I would say at the end of the day, your product is going to be used by our users, and that's very important. You want to solve their problem. So I think that's one of the ways that you can confidently say that your solution provided is good enough for the users, solve their problem. So use data-driven design to optimize the user experience of your product. Then, of course, Fabulous is a brand new concept. Actually, I would say there's nothing else similar in the market. That's a very huge advantage for us. But also, we were trying to differentiate ourselves. Like, how do you want to differentiate ourselves from similar tools and become unique? So one of the things that, if you download Fabulous, one of the things that you will notice is that we use a lot of illustrations. So illustration plays a very huge part in Fabulous. We use it a lot to be unique, and also to create a few things like immersive experience and also contextual experience. So look at a few examples. Fabulous can start out with just an app with the components in material design, like toolbar, cards, fab, stuff like that. It's not looking bad. It's actually looking quite good. But with illustration, it changed the whole new perception of the apps. It makes it looks friendly. It makes it feel more contextual. Another example, like in Fabulous, we have this session called Make Me Fabulous. So if you have 5-10 minutes of time, you can just do things like, a power nap or some exercise, stuff like that. We will guide you through. So, I mean, this design is not bad. It's a list of, stuff that you can do. You can tap on it to do something you want to do. But we decided to go a little bit further. We use illustrations. We changed the way how it's been displayed. And the users love it. And they actually tell us that they really love this particular section as well. So we think in Fabulous, illustration plays a really, really huge role in terms of giving the users a different view of tools like this. So we using illustration, we are able to provide immersive experience, contextual experience, create excitement, and also sometimes you get to have the emotional connection with the app or the companion, I would say. So apps like Google Calendar, that's one of the huge, app that actually give us a huge inspiration to use illustration in apps. So I would say, let's try, if you are building an app, if you're trying to break away from a usual feeling of tools, try to look for opportunity to use illustrations to delight your users, even during frustrated situation, because sometimes that actually helps to ease their frustrations. So then, of course, talk about delighting your users. Tomorrow, please attend Mr. Weibel sessions at 10:20, I think. He will be talking about a lot delighting your users in the application, and I think it's definitely a great talk. The next question that we have, I'm a designer, of course, I really cares about details. And then we have this question in mind, as a team, is it really worth spending time, take care about details? A lot of things is like back-end details or even just some visual defect. Should we really spend time on optimizing these details? Will the user actually notice them? And I can definitely tell you that the users knows about them, even though they might not know what are the things that you do, but they definitely notice about the design details. And this proven from the statistics that we got from Play Stores. This is a benchmark for reviews to see what are the keywords or what are things that users actually talk about Fabulous, and what are the keywords that actually affect the ratings. And as you can see here, design plays a very significant role in determining our scores. So if the user is stopped talking about design of the app, the overall rating will actually goes down. So this is why it has a very green color, like how it actually affects the whole overall rating for the app. So this is proven that the users actually cares about these details, and they're actually aware about design details that you put into the app. So when you're building your next $1 billion apps, please, take care of the details. Not every users will notice what are the changes, but they definitely know that how much effort that you actually put in. So every details make the design. Then of course deal with users, right? We always have this problem, we have users giving 1 star or 2 stars, and then gave some harsh comment and stuff like that. And as app makers, definitely we don't like to see those things. So we have this question raised in our mind that can we just ignore these people? These are probably not the user they want, and they probably won't pay for the app. So a lot of time when you see 1 star, right, I definitely confirm that you have this impression. Why do you give us 1 star? That's always the case. But as the time goes on, and then we try to analyze comments from 1 star, 2 stars user, we actually found out that these people actually are the real users that actually give us a lot of good feedback. Things that doesn't work for them, or they have a different expectation of the app, or things are just not working for them, for example. And we have a good example. Actually, these one-star users warn us about a crash that happens only on a very specific niche of users, and we really appreciate that. Of course, through the analytics, we will know what's the problem, but at the very first moment, all these one-star users are giving us a first hint that something is going wrong in certain part. So we really appreciate that. So I would say, if you are looking at the Play Stores, sometimes look for these 1-star or 2-star users. I mean, everyone loves 4 or 5 stars rating users, of course, because they're going to say good things about your app. But 1, 2 stars users are the real users that actually you hit you back to the reality ground and see what actually goes wrong. And take that feedback seriously, but also cautiously, because some of the things really doesn't make sense from their comment, but there are also valuable lessons that you can learn from their comment. Then, of course, when we talk about monetization or conversion, you definitely ask, when is a suitable moment to convert these users? Like, you want to get them to buy something or to subscribe to your plan, for example. When is the best time? Then, of course, we are so inspired by the billboards and the ads in New York City, so we decided to come up with this solution. So we have tons of ads. No, I'm just kidding. So definitely this is not the way that we're doing, because we know that this is not going, this is probably going to work actually. The user is definitely going to notice the ads like should convert to a premium plan, but we know that the user is going to uninstall it from the next in the next moment. I will not go into details how we're actually doing in Fabulous, but I will just give you some tips. Where is this conversion point that you can look into your app, in your app, that the user is most likely to convert into a paying user? So of course, the very first thing is about success or winning point, where the users, for example, the users manage to do something, or they feel empowered, or they win a game, for example. In game, this is a huge conversion point for them. So in app, there's also a way to actually measure to see which point is a winning point or success point. So look at this point to try to convert the users to a paid users. And then also the demand or unlock point, where some people will actually wanted more, try to unlock certain things to actually suit their usage style, so or also demand a little bit more things in the app. And that's a very good conversion point. In Fabulous, that's probably one of the huge success point or success points that we use to convert the users, which is the unlock point. And also removal or demotivated point, which what I mean here is actually, let's say if the users stop using the app for a certain time, and just try to be smart enough to see when is the best time to prompt the users to come back again, and then provide them a huge discount, for example, to convert them, just to make them your users again. This point is very hard to find a good balance. It's very tricky. Even in Fabulous, we have been trying hard to find that balance. But I think it's worth it, because there are certain success stories in Fabulous that actually this conversion point works for us. So look at these 3 points and identify these 3 points and convert the free users to paid users. Because when you're building an app, of course, you want the users to be happy, and at the same time, you also want your company to be profitable so that you can keep going and going. Then, next thing that we come into mind, because Fabulous is a new concept, or things that we think it's a new concept, because there are not things in the real world that actually have a similar things to represent. For example, if you talk about calendar app, you have calendar. If you talk about alarm clock, you have alarm clock, so you kind of know how it works. But Fabulous is a new app or new concept. How the user is going to use the app or understand the concept of the app. Then we come up with a very smart idea, of course, Fabulous for Dummies. But definitely, no, we definitely didn't go that. But what we found out is that optimizing user onboarding is the best we could do to ensure these users is retain and also manage to understand the concept of the app. So the beauty of this is that every time a new user especially, when they download your app, they have a few questions in mind when they launch the app. So we optimize around that to ensure that the whole onboarding actually trying to answer those questions. Things like, why should I care? What's in it for me? Like, what your app is about? So that's a very important part to the very first launch of the app. Then, of course, in Fabulous, we have a few questionnaires kind of thing to build the anticipation and also giving you a little bit more information what's going to happen. So we try to answer what can or what should I do in the app after you've been motivated by why should I care. Then what can I do? Then the next thing is that what can I do? Then you talk about how can I do it. And that's a very important part because yes, I know why should I care about this and I know what I can do, but how can I do it? Then, so the very first moment when the new users start your app, it's always helpful to actually just guide them, hold their hand towards a certain extent, and then let them do the self-discovery through the through the exploration when they stop having someone to guide them. So, of course, once you answer these questions, you can build something what we call a scaffolding experience, where you slowly reveal functionality or things that the user should know, step by step or slowly. When the user discovers certain part, and then you show a hint, this is where you should tap, this is what you should do, and stuff like that. Just slowly and slowly. So this is what we call a scaffolding experience. And that's very important because this is one of the important part that you don't overwhelm the users with tons of tutorial at the very beginning of using the app without actually knowing what's the value that your app is going to provide. So I would say if you have an app and you're trying to optimize the user retention, you're trying to retain potential users, try to optimize your user onboarding strategy. Then we talk about what can we do to improve user engagement with the product. Of course, as a habit-forming app, definitely that's very important for us. We want a user to engage with the app. So we kind of look at BJ Fogg model on human behavior. It's pretty similar to the whole habit-forming concept in Fabulous, but it's all on these three pillars: motivations, ability, and triggers. And when you talk about in product engagement, it's all about the value propositions of the app, why they should care about your app, and then you provide them the ability. You try to provide good user interface, try to make simple UI for them to act on it. And prompts, of course, trigger. Okay, you want to remind them when and what they can do at the right moment. So just looking at a simple chart, you can already see that if you want to have engagement, of course, you must have a very strong value proposition. You must have a very intuitive interface, and also with proper prompts, and then you will have success engagement. So in Fabulous, we actually really optimize around this. Every single screen is properly planned so that to ensure that the user have these three needs to act on something. So in Fabulous, we have the onboarding that I showed you just now, and then we also have letters and motivators in the app to motivate you, to tell you why you should do something. And then we try to optimize the user interface and make it as simple as possible so that the user is able to act on it, so provide them the ability to do it. And prompts, of course, we have notification, we have alarm, we have dialogues, just to ensure at the right moment, we prompt you at the right time to ensure that you are doing these things so that you won't forget about it. So if you want to improve user engagement, I would say look at these three things, optimize these three things: the strength of your value propositions, find opportunity to explain why they should care about your app, the simplicity of the interface, try to make sure your UI is simple enough so that the users will not find difficult to actually act on certain things, and also the intelligence of a prompt. That's the most challenging part actually in any apps. Doing it wrong, the user will feel that you are nagging them, but it's worth the effort to actually try to optimize that around it. Then the next question, of course, because in Fabulous, we have tons of content. We craft a lot of things in it, a lot of readings that the users can go through when they're going through the journey. So we ask ourselves how far we can go by just providing just a single language, which is English, of course, because we think it's an international language. Everyone is going to use English, and it's going to be pretty cool, pretty good strategy. But I would say not very far. Okay, we can't go really far because when we start out and then we have the material design, we have more than 50% of the reviews actually telling us that please, please, please have the app in my own native language. So after that, we really feel that it's really important. So we decided to translate the app into several other languages that we want to aim, the market that we want to aim. And that's proven to be really useful and very workable. So we are currently looking at options to try to convert the app into many different languages that to the market that we really want to aim. So the takeaway is that if you want to go global, definitely prepare for multilingual language. And I think if your app is a simple one with just a few, not so much of the content, you can use Play Store translations. I think there's some option for you to translate your strings in the app. But if you are looking for a lot of translation for professional content, I think definitely look for professional translator, which is the case for Fabulous. Then there's always you make changes. Always you try to improve the experience, and then you want to say, hey, is this things going to work, or will this have positive impact to the user experience? And how do I know it? How do we know it? So the only one way to know it is to just test it. There's no other way. So in Fabulous, we are kind of like adapting A/B testing culture. We try to test not to say everything, but things that we are uncertain. We're just trying to get some data to support our solutions, or support our views, or support our hypothesis. So when you talk about A/B testings, is this a candidate for A/B testing? Of course, in this case, you can look at this. This is definitely not the candidate for A/B testings. Why? Because there's so much variety, and then there's nothing that you can focus, and you have no idea even if you do the A/B testing with this, you cannot have the confirmation that your hypothesis is right. So to do A/B testing, definitely you must have a very focused point. You must have a very simple, very specific changes that you do in 2 different versions, and then you do a testing to see which one works well, and then you keep the one. And of course, in Fabulous, we always aim for anything above 5%. So anything that is within the range of 5% on uncertainty, we will just kill the idea, because that's probably not worth the effort to go further, because we are not sure whether it works or not. So of course, just now I've shown you this example. This is one very good example. In Fabulous, we use A/B testings to ensure that the solution works. And of course, in Play Stores, you can do Play Store experiment as well. So in this case, we started out without videos in the Play Store page. And then after that, we decided to see whether having videos in the app, in the Play Store page will work better in terms of conversion. And of course, we used Play Store experiment, and we found out that with the video, there's a huge confidence level that when the users reach to the Play Store page, view the video, and then they will download the app. So this is one very significant example that we think A/B testing is really important to ensure that the things that you do is good enough for your users, and also convert your users to the download users or paid users, for example. So always in experimental mode. There's nothing that's set in stone. Even how good is that particular solutions, but at one point it might not work, or not working good enough. Then you can try to optimize it again, and use this data to decide which solution to keep. Then in Fabulous team, of course, besides self-sustainable, or besides, I would say, bootstrapping, we are also a group of people actually working remotely. So when we started out, we actually have these worries that, are we able to pull it off, like have everyone working remotely? I'm pretty sure, like in your mind, you definitely say, why not, right? But 3 years ago, we definitely have no experience at all, and we have no idea whether it works out. So I would say, of course, yeah, definitely works. Remote definitely works, but with a certain level of discipline and certain level of planning and communication, it definitely works. So these are the maps that for the people that's working in Fabulous. We actually currently a team of 7 go across the world. So obviously this is where I am in Malaysia, in Asia. So the one that is really far away from the rest of the people. So, but it really works. We use tons of tools like Trello, Slack, of course. Everyone knows these two, Gmail, Zeppelin, one of the very important design tools actually for me to communicate the design specs to the developers, very important tool. And of course, Dropbox and Dropbox Paper. So all these things that we use is actually helping us in terms of communicating and also develop the app. We probably only meet each other once a year or something like that. But if you're thinking about building an app remotely with a few people around the world, just do it. I think it will work. It will work just fine. So remote absolutely works with sufficient communication and proper planning. And the last point, of course, is having a design-first culture within the team worth it. It's going to take time, a lot of time actually, to align that mindset, to have everyone think about design first before you do anything, regardless you are in the development position or you are in the product management position or designer even. So is it worth it to have this design-first approach in the team? I would say definitely yes. It sure does, at least in the Fabulous point of view, because having this design-first culture, we believe it helps us to achieve a few things. Of course, Material Design Award is one of the things that we're really proud of, and I think it will not work out if we are not having design-first culture in the app or in the team. So then, of course, once we have a good design in place, you can see a huge improvement in the downloads, and people actually download the app just because when they look at the design, they think that it's easy to use or friendly to use. So it's very, very important. And I would say the very significant point that once we have the design culture in the team is that everyone starts thinking about design. Like, for example, the developer team, when they do certain features and when we discuss about it, they start throwing some question back to me so that I can answer from the design point of view, like how it will going to impact user experience. And that's very important because as a developer, you are not just doing the coding or just come up with codes that works, but you also want to take care like how this piece of code going to affect the user experience, whether this will give a smooth experience or this will give a bad experience. So that's very important, like having everyone in the team have a design thinking. I think this is one of the most precious things that we have when we have the design thinking culture in the team. And also another view or another perspective why design is important. I think VP of Design at Airbnb shared this through their blogs, and I really love it because, for example, if you have the 3 main pillars in the product development, of course, the product, the engineers, and design, and if you grow together, your chair will be as stable as possible, and it's going to be a good product. But if you involve design in a later stage, a lot of time I see product, they actually first engineer first and product design the product development first without actually involve designer or even design thinking in it. You will always see this case where when the design comes in, it's too late to fix all these things because a lot of things has been set in stone. There's nothing much you can do to change the whole user experience stack. So please, 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 I would say, when you work on the app or anything at all, any product at all, start with having a product design team in a product development at the very, very beginning. Otherwise, I would definitely say it's too late to fix. Like, if you really want to go success, definitely involve design at the very beginning, and that's a very important point that I want to say. So with that, I think there's about 12 or 13 points, and I hope these lessons that we learn in Fabulous helps for you one way or another. But I'm very, very happy to actually share this lesson to every one of you. So thank you very much, and I hope you have a good lunch later.